Welcome to Beyond Mindset Limits with Tisha Marie Cain. Here, we explore how unlocking your mindset can pave the way for unlimited success. Discover how to create opportunities through legal challenges and transform your business and life with effective public relations strategies. Get ready to elevate your journey and maximize your potential. Now, let's welcome your host, Tisha Marie Cain.
I'm over here clapping for myself. Hello, you guys. This is Tisha Marie Cain. I am with Beyond Mindset Limits, and this is my radio show. I am not doing a podcast. I am doing a radio show, and that, I believe, is more clout. I want to talk to you today about something that's near and dear to my heart. And what I've realized over the last couple of months is I typically have guests come on my show and share their story and share how whatever they're birthing into the world. And I love giving my radio show a platform for other people's voices. And what I also love is in the depth of that, I was like, okay, I'm going to carve back at least 1 week a month that I get to share my voice to. And so, you know what, I've spent many years of, trying to use my voice and open up my throat chakra and use my voice in a way that can help elevate souls and elevate people so they can really stand in their confidence and really call in for more, call in their biggest life possible. And so sometimes people can't use their voice, and so they borrow mine, hence the radio show. And so that's why I'm here today is I want to get my voice out. And so on today's show, we're going to talk about something that has recently touched me and my family. And I thought, okay, this is a teaching moment. So before we dive in, I just want to tell you a little bit about who I am. My name is Tisha Marie Cain. I am an executive counsel. I am this radio show host. I'm an expert mediator. I'm an expert communicator. I'm a breakthrough mindset coach. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm a 6 times #1 best-selling international author and artist. I'm recognized for my work for Fortune 500 companies. I work with visionary leaders. I work with high-performing entrepreneurs, guiding them to unlock influence and align with purpose and create lasting impact. I have a unique blend of legal expertise, leadership strategy, and transformational coaching. I help individuals and organizations alike rewire the subconscious mind, release emotional weight, and elevate their relationship with money, power, and self-worth. And today, this is Beyond Mindset Limits, where clarity meets confidence and transformation becomes actionable. And it's really important that I emphasize, I help people elevate their relationship with money, right? And so money sometimes becomes a sticky topic. And today, we're going to talk about how not to lose your money, how to deter fraud. And so, this is a big one for me. I want to talk about something that everyone needs to understand, whether you're selling an RV, whether you're renting a home, whether you're hiring a contractor or doing business online, whether you're loaning someone money or buying a car or signing in any kind of agreement. What we're talking about here is fraud, how to deter fraud. And I'm a proven person of integrity. I have been a notary for 4 commissions now, and I hold myself out as someone of proven integrity. And I do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And sometimes even, scams happen to the best people. And deterring fraud, I wanted to bring up for you the definition of deter, because someone asked me, what does deter mean? And deter means proactively discouraging or stopping deceptive practices before they occur, right? So to deter fraud is very, very important. So I told a friend today, I said, yeah, I've been a victim. Someone stole $1,500 from me. And he goes, welcome to the club. And I thought, wow, what a great teaching moment for today's radio show. Because if there's a club of victims, I want to be the biggest voice I want to be the biggest voice around to help people. And once I turned sales, I used to think sales was sleazy, right? And once I turned sales into service, no, I'm here to serve and impact the world. And once I did that, I began, really fixing my relationship with money and understanding what money was and what money is. So today, we're talking about fraud. Now, in the legal realm, I want you to know that fraud can be brought at any time. So, just a little bit of background. If say you found out fraud, like 6 years down the road, some people say there's a statute of limitations. Well, on fraud, there is no statute of limitations, and you can bring fraud at any time. So if you discovered fraud 23 years later, you can bring fraud at any time. So from a legal perspective, I love to bring fraud because it holds its weight, and it's hard, and it's disgusting. And I live in the 5D world most of the time, and I it's not like I stick my head in the sand and I don't look out for these things. But I often believe that humanity is working itself into a position where people won't hurt people anymore, that we're all going to live heaven on earth. And so I believe that. And so I create that for me. But what's important to know is I recently became a victim of fraud just this week. So let me give you a little bit of background. Okay. So I had this RV up for sale. And this ring of fire, I call it the burning ring of fire. Thank you, Johnny Cash. They have this ring, a network of people, and reached out to me and said, hey, here's my driver's license. I just want you to know that I'm interested in buying your RV. Would you take a lower price? No, I'm not going to take a lower price. Okay, well, I can't come and pick it up myself because, my family is having a wedding, but I'm going to send a little more extra for your RV, and you can pay the movers to come and pick it up. I'm like, yeah, sure, just letting it play out. Well, they have spent at least 9 days nurturing me, right? Text messages. I tried to pick up the phone and call them. They didn't answer. That should have been my first clue, right? Your first clue here is if it doesn't pass the smell test, that is your first clue. Before a person loses money, there's usually a moment in time that felt off. And that was my first little inclination. So I should have stopped. But we'll just, give people the benefit of the doubt. The goal is to not live in a paranoid state. The goal is to live prepared. And this is why I'm teaching you guys today on how to deter fraud. Discernment is not fear. Discernment is wisdom. So really bringing in your discernment and what does this feel good? Bring it into your body. How does this feel? That's why, and I'm a teacher and a preacher too. That's why I teach, like, you've got to be really clear. Get off the drugs and alcohol because those keep you low vibe. Right? When you're low vibe, even depression and anxiety is low vibe, and you can't access that part in your gut that says, hey, this might be off, or something's off here, right? And so even though I don't do drugs and alcohol, and even though I fly high, and even though I'm high vibe most of the days, I really take people for what they're worth because I believe that we're working to a way in humanity where people don't hurt people anymore. So I just let this little game play out for 9 days and come to find out it was fraud. So your gut feeling is the first red flag here, and it should have been mine. And it was, and I just paid attention to it, right? It was always there like, little red flag is there. When something feels off, pause. Fraud often depends on speed or confusion or pressure or emotional manipulation. A scammer wants you to override your judgment, right? They want you to think, maybe I'm just being too cautious, or maybe I should trust them, or maybe, I'll lose the deal if I ask too many questions. No, ask the questions. A legitimate person will not be offended by reasonable verification, right? So this guy tells me, hey, I want to buy your RV. I have my RV for sale. And I say, great. I said, if you want to jump on a FaceTime call real quick, I'll give you a walk around, because Miss Tisha Marie Cain is very authentic and transparent. I don't fraud anyone. And in fact, I'm an earth angel. Let's just be real. I am an earth angel and I'm here to help. So I thought, if anybody's going to be a victim of fraud, I don't want to be, but if anybody's going to be a victim of fraud, okay, fine. I have a radio show that airs to 39 million, 133 countries all around the world, tons of downloads. People listen in, people tune in to KMET and ABC News. They tune into us. So I thought, great, I get to put these guys on blast. So this is what we're doing. And I want to really help, right? Because I'm here to help and I'm here to change, be the change you want to be the change you want to see. How does that little cliche go? I don't know, but I want to be the change. I want to show people, and especially I want to show my children how to show up in the world and how to do good and how to be good and how to teach how to teach people how to behave. So talk to a real person. He didn't even want to take my little FaceTime call to do a walkthrough around the RV, which was my second red flag. One of the most basic fraud deterrents is also one of the most overlooked, right? Luckily, I didn't overlook it. I tried to get him on the FaceTime call. So get the person on the phone. Hey, thank you for wanting to buy my whatever. Text messages are good, but don't rely on text messages. Don't rely on emails. Don't rely on DMs. Don't rely on marketplace chats. Talk to a real person. Hear their voice. Are they in a third world country? I'm broadcasting here in the United States of America, and we're only 250 years old. And that's very young compared to the other countries, right? We do broadcast out to the other countries. So if you hear me and you're in a third world country and you're trying to fraud us, you're on blast right now. So talk to that person. You'll understand if they're in a third world country or not. I even got a call today in the middle of lunch hour. And I normally don't take lunch, but I answered the call. And on my iPhone, because I have an iPhone, it said could be spam risk. Well, since I've been frauded this week, I thought I'm going to pick up that call. And I picked up the call and I go, hey, who are you? And they said my name. Hey, are you Tisha Marie Cain? I said, who are you trying to call? And they're like, you. I'm like, okay, yeah. I said, you know what? My phone says spam risk. He goes, oh, yeah. We call from an automated attendant. I want to sell you something. I'm like, no, that's good. And I hung up on the guy, right? So get the person on the phone and I will call you out on it, especially if you're doing the wrong thing. And that guy knew I was not going to be taking his baloney, right? So a serious buyer or seller should be able to have a normal conversation with you, right? When someone refuses to speak, and they give vague answers and they constantly change the subject, or they only want to communicate through strange channels, this is another clue, right? Another clue is don't be rushed. Sometimes, and a lot of times, fraud loves urgency. So for me, I kind of put it fraud that this could possibly be fraud on my RV on the back burner for a minute because he kind of nurtured me and walked me through this ring of fire for 9 days straight. Okay, we're going to send you a money order and it's going to go and it's going to come from here. And okay, cool. He sent me the UPS tracking device, to track when the check would come. And then I got the check. He's all, did you deposit it real quick? So fraud loves urgency. So watch for phrases like, can you do this right now? Or I need it done today. I already sent the money. Come on. My cousin will pick it up. I'm out of town. I'll send a mover, right? That's exactly what happened to me. My daughter's getting married in Texas and I can't come. Okay. Or I accidentally overpaid you, right? Can you just refund the difference? So that's how I got frauded, was they sent a check for the RV and they sent over the amount. And what happened was when they sent over the amount, they said that I would pay the movers to come and pick up my RV. And then he said, of course, never talking to the person on the phone. So I should have known. And the bigger story here, you guys, is I have 3 forensic psychology reports saying that Miss Tisha Marie Cain has superior intelligence. So I'm not saying this from a boastful spot, but I've went through the medical doctors to determine that I have superior intelligence, and I was still a victim this week, right? So it doesn't matter how smart you are. These guys are good, right? Protect yourself at all cost. Verify, get them on the phone, verify payment before you release anything. So, of course, my bank trusted me. Me and my bank have very good trust. I even pulled out when all this stuff happened a few years ago and we had to walk around with mask on our face. I knew I couldn't trust. There was a big breach of trust and I wasn't trusting anyone, right? So I took my money out of the big banks and I found a small bank that I was going to go, hey, you guys know where I live? And they said, yep. And I said, I certainly know you where you live. So we have trust, right? In my bank, uh, they're amazing people and they trust me. So they put the check through and I said, wait a minute, I just want to have a conversation. I said, although this check looks legit, you guys had even had the little silver medallion and it even had the little lock on the back of the check where you hold the check up and it says do not cash unless you can see through, all the things that make it look so good. It looks great. But I tipped my bank off. I said, you know, um, I don't know this person. It seems to be a little bit too easy. They overpaid me a little bit for the movers. Let's just make sure everybody's doing what they're doing. We're going to trust them, but we're going to verify. Right. And my bank's like, okay, we're going to watch on it. We'll let you know if anything happens. I'm like, okay, cool. So I had my bank scouting all on this. Right. So we verified payment before. Well, I didn't verify the payment before I released the money. I should have, but you should, is what I'm telling you. So basically what he said is he goes, yeah, the check cleared, right? I said, yeah, my bank put it through. And he says, great. Can you go ahead and Zelle me $1,500 for the movers? And I'm like, okay. Cause in my mind, I was thinking, well, that extra money wasn't mine. It was theirs anyway. But the reality was the check hadn't cleared my bank yet. So it was my money until the check cleared. So I sent them $1,500. And with Zelle, once you send it, it's gone. There's no way to trace it. So verify payment before you release property. When selling something valuable, right? Or I don't even care. Just don't be a victim. Even if you're not selling something valuable, just verify payment, right? Especially if you're selling an RV or a car or boat or trailer or something like that. Never release possession until the money is fully verified. So luckily, I still have my RV. I'm out, $1,500 on a Zelle transaction for the movers that were fake, right? So just get fully verified before you release any property. Whew, it's been a lot. And I'm bagging. I was telling my family and bagging on myself because you think that you think you've followed all of the steps and you think that people aren't going to harm people anymore. And you think you just want to believe that people are doing the right thing. And then something happens and then you're like, wow, okay. And then I'm a mindset coach. I even went down this little mind tree. Like, can I trust myself anymore? And I bounced it off my dad and my husband. And I'm like, everything seemed to check out, right? Until it didn't. So luckily I was on guard from the very moment and didn't release the property, right? And so when when you meet someone, make sure that you meet them safely too. I would meet them at the police station. I would meet them. I think, I don't know if each county has this, but I know Stanislaus County in California has this. They have a safe baby exchange out in front of the police department. And they also have like an e-commerce safe exchange out in front of the police department. And they have cameras everywhere. So that's a really good place to exchange for vehicle sales and large transactions. Meet at the bank, meet at the DMV office, meet at a notary's office, right? I'm a notary. Call me, say, hey, I'll come out. Let's notarize everybody's signature here. Let's keep everybody honest, right? Document their name, document their telephone number, document the driver's license. These Ring of Fire people, this whole ring, they sent me the driver's license of the guy buying the RV. And he said, hi, this is who I am. Here's my driver's license to verify legitimacy. And I was like, okay. And, I did my research. Everything checked out. The address checked out. The guy checked out. I even found a legal case that pointed the guy back to his address in Texas. Everything checked out. But my sneaky suspicion is that guy's a victim of fraud too. So we're going to be getting a hold of him too. Police reports have been filed, all of that. Make sure you do your due diligence and following up and reporting the fraud too, because that's how we stop these criminals from continuing to harm people. Most of the time it just falls off, right? Because what are they going to do? $1,500 to someone's Zelle. And even the Zelle name was a different name than the check was a different name than the buyer. And the Zelle was at an AOL.com. And I texted him, I said, who uses AOL.com? I don't know of anybody but you. So I thought that was kind of fishy as well, right? So all these, they were like little red flags, little ones. And I should have got them on the phone, but it's fine. It's so great because even a client told me today, hey, Tisha, you're one of those people that the cup is always half full. And I said, yeah, you know what? It is. I do behave that way. I do act like the cup is half full. Yes, they got $1,500, but you know what? I can be pissed. I can have it ruin my day. I can have it ruin my week. But I know that money is energy. I know that I teach people about money with energy. The more I stay elevated, the more I turn sales into service, the more I continue to serve on the bigger scale, I'm going to get that $1,500 back in no time. And I know it. And you know what? I know how God works too. So that ring of fire, those guys are going to be putting their toes, in the fire here if they probably aren't already, because I also believe in karma too. So just make sure that you document everything. I have all of the text messages documented. I have the driver's license documented. I have the check documented. I have all of that for the police. And that was very, very helpful. So let's talk about written agreements. Even if it's a simple one, put it on paper, right? It goes back to the fundamental laws. If it isn't written down, I have a lot of clients tell me, well, the clerk at the court told me this. I said, well, did she write it down on paper? Well, no, then you don't trust. There's been a big breach of trust everywhere. As long as they're willing to sign something, sign some sort of written agreement with their wet ink signature, you do not hand over any money or property. And this will protect you, right? And whatever, if I am the person that the cup is half full, I was thinking, great, okay. Oh, it sucks that I was a victim of fraud. But the reality is I have this radio show to put these guys out on blast to be able to help you. So if you're traveling down the highway right now and you're listening to this, I hope that you are not a victim of a fraud. And I'm hoping that this radio show is helping you just like follow your gut instinct. Follow your gut. Those instincts are there for a reason. We are animals, right? We have these animal instincts to tell us what is right and what is wrong. And if it does not pass the smell test, then don't move forward. Talk to a real person. Don't be rushed. Verify payment and meet in a safe spot. And so hold on right there. We're going to take a moment from and listen to our sponsors, and we'll be right back in a second. Thanks, guys.
Have you ever wondered why you can know exactly what to do and still feel like something inside keeps pulling you back? You tell yourself, I'm done being angry. I'm done carrying sadness. I'm done feeling fear, guilt, shame, or not good enough. But no matter how strong, successful, or self-aware you are, the pattern keeps showing up. That is because most people are trying to change their life from the surface, when the real programming lives in the subconscious mind. Meet Tisha Marie Cain, clinical hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, and founder of Beyond Mindset Limits. Tisha helps people go directly to the root cause of the emotional patterns and limiting beliefs that have been running their lives behind the scenes. Hypnotherapy is not magic. It is not mind control. It is focused subconscious work that allows clients to bypass the noise, access the root, and begin transforming the belief where it was first created. Anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame. Not good enough, not safe, not worthy, not lovable. These are not just emotions. They are often protective programs the mind created long ago. Through her 90-minute hypnotherapy sessions, Tisha guides clients into the subconscious mind to release what no longer belongs to them and begin installing a new way of thinking, feeling, and becoming. For many of her clients, one session creates a breakthrough they have been chasing for years. If you are ready to stop managing the pattern and finally transform it at the subconscious level, this is your invitation. Book your 90-minute hypnotherapy session with Tisha Marie Cain at Beyond Mindset Limits. Sessions are available in office, on Zoom, or by private appointment. Because healing does not have to take forever. Sometimes you just need the right access point. Beyond Mindset Limits. Go to the root, release the limits, become the version of you that was always waiting underneath.
Are you feeling stuck, repeating the same patterns in your relationships, your career, or even within yourself? What if the root of it all isn't what you think? Introducing the Beyond Mindset Session with clinical hypnotherapist Tisha Marie Cain. With over 2,000 clients served, Tisha guides you through a powerful 90-minute breakthrough session designed to uncover the true source of what's holding you back, release limiting beliefs, rewire how you see yourself. Plus, you'll receive personalized integration support with follow-up sessions, a daily alignment plan, and a full recording to reinforce your transformation. Imagine feeling lighter, more confident, free from the cycles that once defined you. This is your opportunity to step into a new version of yourself. Appointments are available in person in California and Las Vegas, and anywhere virtually. The Beyond Mindset Session with Tisha Marie Cain. Schedule your session today at tishamariecain.com.
And we are back. My name is Tisha Marie Cain. I am your host, Beyond Mindset Limits. I can be found at www.tishamariecain.com. I can be found at www.beyondmindsetlimits.com as well. I'm telling you guys right now that if you are suffering and you are going through a season of your life where you just need fast impact, I would really recommend a hypnotherapy session for you. I didn't really believe in hypnotherapy. I thought it was a little too woo-woo until I was just done and fed up with being sad, of being drugged through the family court 283 times, 6 years. And it was disgusting and perfect all in once. And I did a hypnotherapy session in Australia, and it radically transformed my life. So I had to go over there and become a clinical hypnotherapist to be able to bring this modality to the world. Hypnotherapy works. So if you're ever considering it, or you just want to, get a little bit more information about it, reach out to me. Go to my website and schedule a free discovery call. It's there for you. I'm meant to serve. I'm here to serve bigger and more, and all the things as we transition into a new way of living here on planet Earth without all of these systems. And I really believe, I got really excited because, America is 250 years old. It's like Happy Independence Day. And I paused for a moment and I sat with my family and I'm like, what are we really celebrating here? And we were celebrating the independence from all of the systems. We're independent from that. We don't operate within those systems anymore, and we get to create the life of our dreams, no longer in the medicine systems, in the public systems, in the government systems, in the religious systems. We're just like, no, right? If it is a box, it is restricting me, and I am here to go beyond mindset limits. I'm here for expansion. And if you're here to transform your life, or if you have some inquiry about it, I'd love to be able to support you. This is what I do. This is my life work. This is what I do. This is in the fibers of my soul. And I currently am working with a lot of CEOs and executives. I wrote the book, Beyond Mindset Limits, right? The standard for CEOs and executives. These are guys who refuse to be overlooked, overvalued, or forgotten. And this book is a level of expansion beyond. It's really good, right? And I heard somewhere today, I think it was Grant Cardone put out his book. He goes, you know what? My book has 437 mistakes in my book, but my book is better out than yours because you haven't got yours out, right? My book with all my mistakes is better than yours because you haven't even got yours out yet. So I was kind of bagging myself because on this book, there's one mistake in there. And I was like, dang it, I want to go back and fix that mistake. And I can. But Beyond Mindset Limits, it's charting on the tops right now because it really is the cheat codes. Because I'm not, let's just be real. Life is very short, and you get out of life whatever you believe that you deserve, right? I do good, so I deserve that I get good, right? So even though this little freaking fraud happened to me, whatever, I can be pissed about it all week, or I could just say, you know what? Fine. All right. I know better. We do better. Right. And that's where a lot of forgiveness lies. Right. And pointing people back to scripture. Right. You get so upset with your parents for the way that you were raised and the way, but it's all perfect. How do you know it's perfect? Because it happened. If it wasn't perfect, it would not have happened. And it happened perfectly for you to transcend and transfer and transform your whole entire life if that's what you want. A lot of people, or I'm not saying a lot, that's the wrong verbiage here. Some people like to suffer. And they like to suffer because there's a secondary gain they get by suffering. If I'm sad, if I believe that I'm helpless, then people will help me and they don't have to take responsibility for their life, right? I take radical responsibility for my life. I'm taking radical responsibility for this fraud. I should have known better. I have superior knowledge. I should have known better. I should have waited the 10 days until my bank said, hey, Tisha, that check has cleared. Everything looks a go-go. You can do whatever you want and not send any money. That's what I should have done. And it's great because here's what I know. It's in those hard lessons. That's where the teachings really happen. The teachings really don't happen when things are humming along and everything's perfect. It's in the texture of life. It's in that, the yin and the yang, the dark and the light, where things get to be exposed. If everything was all light, it would be boring. If everything was all perfect all the time, it would be boring. And here's the thing. This was so funny because I normally 17 years of college, it stems from having to hustle for my worth when I was a young kid, never being good enough. I was the middle child, all the things. I normally have this radio show topic done a couple weeks in advance. I have you guys all lined up. I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to talk about this. Or, oh, yeah, I want to bring this person on the show. Or if someone comes in and wants to be on the show, then I'll rearrange things. And I spent all weekend because I knew that I wanted to hold out this Wednesday for my voice, right? Like I started the front of the show with, is like, it's great to bring guests on my show. And if let me pause there for a minute. If you have a business or a brand, or you're a personal brand and you're looking to get more visibility and you're wanting to grow your brand and make some more money, I believe visibility is profitability, and you want to come on my show, let me know. I want to come on here. I want to showcase you. I want to hold you up and hear your story because everybody's got a story. I'm a publisher and an author. I want to know your story, right? And let's be true. Let's be honest. When people come into my office for a hypnotherapy appointment, they have all the sad, oh my God, victim mentality, right? I don't play there. Yeah, okay. You had all this happen to me, but I want to know your comeback story. I want to know what's kept you on planet Earth. What has lit your fire to keep going? Because you could have simply exited out of planet Earth. A lot of people did during COVID. They're like, you know what? The world is changing way too fast. This is crazy. I don't want to deal with it. And so they made a soul agreement saying, I'm out of here. I'm exiting out. And that's great. But I want to know what made you stay. Right? What made you stay on planet Earth? What made you keep fighting? What made you keep going on? Right? So if you want to come on my show and talk about your business and get some visibility, please reach out to me. I'd love to go ahead and showcase you that. But I knew, circling back around, I knew that today's show, July 8th, was going to be a show from my voice. And I didn't have the topic figured out yet because I've spoke about my publishing business. I've spoke about my hypnotherapy business. I've spoke about my coaching business. I've spoke about my legal business. I've spoken about all the things that I do on this radio show. I'm a unicorn. There isn't anything I don't do well, which is great. And I'm like, how do I serve bigger? And I was holding out this show for a specific topic. And I was struggling this weekend and I was like, gosh, wow, what do I bring to the listeners? What kind of energy can I bring to the listeners to to teach and preach and show people how to behave. And it didn't come to me until last night, right? Until I realized, oh, dang, every fiber in my soul knew that I had been scammed. And I'm like, that is my radio show topic, how to deter fraud. So I want to give you guys some key nuggets. Learn from me. Don't be like me and, get frauded. Learn from this story. So when I started to sell this RV 9 days ago, yesterday I was reminded how important it was to like slow down and use discernment. Selling an RV is not like selling a sofa. It involves more money, and it involves the title, involves paperwork, right? That's why when the guy sent over his driver's license, I was like, okay, cool. That sounds good. That checks out. And so anytime you're dealing with something valuable like that, you have to be awake and you have to ask, who am I really dealing with here? Have I spoken to the person on the phone? Have I verified the money? Have I documented the terms? Right? And notice and see if it feels off to you. Are they trying to rush me? Are they avoiding normal steps? I should have known when I tried to FaceTime the guy and give the guy an opportunity to look at my RV to say, hey, it's never been in an accident. It's never been, scratched or anything. It's pretty mint condition. I want to be completely transparent and upfront with you. And he didn't want to get on a FaceTime call. That should have been my first inclination. Like, nope, get on the phone before I'm not talking to you. Now that's what I'm going to do. I'm not like paranoid, like I said before about this, but I'm just going to put in some boundaries and some check systems to check. Nope. If you want to buy whatever I have on Facebook Marketplace or something like that, you're going to need to get on the phone. You're going to need to talk to me. No chit chatting on texts and all that other stuff. So the red flags are really important to look at. And so here are some of the red flags. So remember these. If someone refuses to speak by phone, like this knucklehead, right? That's a big red flag. They want to send someone else to pick up the item. That was the number 2 red flag for me, right? They overpaid and asked for the money back or asked me. That was the number 3 red flag. They send screenshots instead of verified funds. They pressure you to act immediately. They avoid legal names. They use strange payment methods. That was another tip. Was he was in Texas, but the check came from Georgia, and then it was UPS'd over. So that's like federal mail crime. These guys are so in trouble. They don't even realize not only did they fraud me out of the $1,500, I have a legal background, and I'm going to go down through the books and find out all the other things to overcharge these guys on. They used federal mail. That's a felony to send me a fraudulent check, right? So they're in big trouble. So that's a tip off. They were vague about basic details. If they get angry when you ask reasonable questions, they want to move the conversation off of selling into, let's just move quickly, right? They ask you to click links or provide codes, never do any of that. I guess the best thing for me to tell you is just if they're sending a check, like wait 10 days, right? Hey, if you really want it, you're going to wait 10 days. Do that, right? Do a fraud checklist, right? Before completing a sale or transaction, ask yourself, okay, have I spoke to the person on the phone? Do I know who I'm dealing with? Does the story make sense? Bounce it off someone else, right? Bounce it off your husband, bounce it off your family. And I did this. I bounced it off my sister, my dad, my husband. And we all wanted to believe that this guy or this ring of fire was doing the right thing. But the reality was they weren't. But because they trickled it out, because they didn't move too quickly, we were like, well, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's all going to check out, So protect yourself. Protect yourself and just know that if it doesn't pass the smell test, then it doesn't pass the smell test. Does anything feel off here? Right. And I talked about that a couple shows ago when I went into a coaching container. It was a workshop down in LA, and the coaching wasn't clean. It wasn't clean at all, and they were manipulative. And so, like, bring someone with you to these coaching containers. Just make sure that you're not being manipulated and forced into something that you really wouldn't want to do. You have free will, right? So if it feels off, stop and pause. And just take a moment, right? To say, okay, does this check all the boxes? Fraud doesn't always start with a lie. Sometimes it starts with ignoring your own intuition. A real buyer will respect clean transactions. And that's what I do. I respect clean transactions. A scammer will resent your boundaries. If someone is rushing you, they may not be trying to buy from you. They may be trying to bypass your judgment. And that's the truth. Your gut feeling is not always fear, right? Sometimes it's discernment trying to protect your future. Do not let desperation override documentation. If money is not verified, the property doesn't move. Thank God I didn't give these guys my property, you know? I mean, it could have been much, much, much worse. $1,500 to me is like, whatever, you know, that's my level, right? I mean, $1,500 could have snowed someone else. And that's why I wanted to talk about deterring fraud on today's radio show is like, let's protect ourselves because there are criminals out there that don't care, right? Trust is not payment method. And here's the big one. And this is what I was talking to my family about just last night is verification is not being rude. Verification is being responsible. And the conversation that we had was this. Okay. So let me just take you back in my life a little bit, right? So I grew up a strong Portuguese Catholic home. My parents were very stern disciplinarian, very authoritative parents. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, cool, right? Whatever. It made me who I am today. It's all perfect, right? All of that is absolutely perfect. But in my culture, we were taught you don't question the parents. You don't question authority. They're the authority. You don't question, right? We are your parents and you do what we say and not what we do. And that is baloney. That is so baloney. So verification is not being rude. Verification is being responsible. So now guess what? I'm going to tell everyone, hey, I just got scammed $1,500. There's been a big breach of trust. You're going to have to oversell and overdeliver to me because I've been harmed. And someone either is going to respect that or they're going to back away because they're being fraudulent and unauthentic and they're trying to, steal from me. So I'm the type of person, and if you guys know, because you listen to my radio show every week, I'm the type of person that I will tell you how the cow ate the cabbage, right? And I'll tell you the truth. And so sometimes that repels people. That repels a lot of people, especially people wearing masks, because they don't know how to deal with me, right? They don't know how to take me. Why? Because I'm speaking the truth, because I'm laying it all on the line, because I'm asking questions, because I'm verifying. That's not being rude. I have a duty to protect my family and protect myself. And that $1,500 could have went to something else for my family, right? For vacation or paying the light bill to keep my lights on or a movie night or whatever. But they just frauded me out of $1,500. And so now that whole conversation to everyone else is like, okay, well, darn, I was a victim of fraud. And, I just got to protect myself now. I'm just going to lay it out here. You're going to have to make sure that you cover all your bases here before I buy. And they may not want to deal with me, or they may, but I don't care at this point because I'm not going to be a victim again. And that's why I'm trying to help you guys is to close the loop here, right? Go all the way down the links and make sure everything checks out. Luckily, I paused at every moment. Luckily, this little fraud ring, trickled this out over 9 days. But each step I was like, that's kind of weird. He doesn't even want to see the RV. That's kind of weird. He's sending someone else to pick up the RV. That's kind of weird. Now I'm sending it to a Helen. That's not even his name, of Zelle. Oh, that's kind of weird that he's not even on the check, that it comes from a business. And I even checked the business checked out, right? And I put in several calls to this business because either someone at the top, the CFO, is dirty, or this business is getting fraud too. And that's my intuition, is this business is probably getting fraud too. They put their business up at the top and found out that he worked there. You can find everything online now these days, right? You can go on all the platforms, LinkedIn, ChatGPT, all the things, and find out about people. So that was the other thing. It was like, okay, maybe this guy searched me out. Maybe this guy knows I have a radio station. Maybe this guy knows that, I do consulting and I'm a publisher and all the things that he knows. Okay, cool. She's not frauding anybody, and she's authentic and transparent. And so I thought that, hey, he could easily vet me out too, just like I'm easily vetting him out. So a lot of those things checked, but some other things didn't check out, right? So fraud starts with pressure sometimes. And then if it doesn't pass the smell test, slow down, right? Make sure you're talking to a real person, and then verify everything. Discuss payment, identity. He did say, hey, I'm going to put a little bit more on there for the movers because they're going to move it out of your property, a few states away. Okay, cool. That's great. But normally I was thinking, normally the movers want the cash or a cashier's check at the date of pickup. But this guy was kind of pressury. He goes, well, can you send the $1,500 now? Because the way that the movers work is they need half now, or they won't get on schedule because there's several pickups that they have. And I'm like, huh. And then all of a sudden he's texting me like at 9:00 at night when he hadn't been available only during, daylight saving time hours, the rest of the time. So that should have been another tip off. And it was like, I bounced it off my family and all the people. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting that this guy is like texting at 9:00 at night. Like, send me the Zelle. No, we can do that in the morning. Hold off. Let's make sure the check cleared. And he's like, oh, it cleared. Okay. And I don't know you, dude. Right. So it's great. And I'm a little upset about it. I'm a little frustrated because it happens to the best of us, and it's whatever I make meaning of it. Right. So these things happen to you. And this is what I teach in my coaching packages, right? It's like you go and you make meaning of whatever happened to you. You put a meaning behind it. So I was, audio processing. I do this a lot. I talk it out just to hear my own voice. And I was audio processing. I'm like, okay, this can really make me angry for the next 7 days that I feel like I got frauded. And I did. I've been frauded, you guys. I was a victim on this, and it can make me really, really angry. Or I can say, well, you know what? Okay, great. If it happened to anyone, I might for humanity, right? So I'm making meaning like this. I much rather take one for humanity. Now it's $1,500. No one else is going to get anything else, but I much rather take one for the team. And knowing that I have a radio show to put these guys on blast to millions of people out there. And if it happened to anyone, I much rather happen it to me, right? So I can protect the people. So I can educate you guys, learn from me, put in boundaries to deter fraud, right? Put in a final checklist of things that, okay, did you talk to the person? Just sit down with your family and just make sure. I want to go through each one of these steps. And if these steps don't check out, we back out. If it doesn't check out, we back out. That's a good little cliche. I'm going to write that down. So make sure that you know who you're dealing with, right? Make sure you go to one of those safe e-commerce exchanges, right? Make sure you meet someone in a safe place. Bring a friend. Use cash. Cash is, we went to a restaurant last night and a big sign in the restaurant said, cash is still king. And I thought, that's great, because you have to hold cash in your hand and hand it over to someone else. So you would know if they're frauding you or not, So I thought, interesting how all these signs are coming up and how I need to teach about fraud prevention. It's not about, being suspicious of everyone. It's not about that. It's about being awake and being, aware of what's happening. It's about understanding that good people can make some costly mistakes, and they can make those costly mistakes when they're rushed, when they're excited. I was excited. I'm like, great. Okay, we're going to sell this RV and possibly buy a newer one. This is great, right? I was excited about it, right? So was I a little too trusting? I'm like, well, maybe, right? So whether you're selling an RV or you're buying a car or renting property, hiring a contractor, be very careful who comes in your house, right? Vet these guys out. Call them. And if you have someone coming in your house to, build bookshelves or put in new carpet, make sure you know who's there and make sure you're not there alone. Not to just, be suspicious of everyone, but there's a level of safety that you have to protect yourself and make sure that you're being responsible. Ask questions, right? And getting back to our culture, our culture wasn't a look at your culture. If your culture says, do not question authority, maybe you should, right? If your culture says, don't do this, maybe you should look at that, right? Look outside those boundaries and outside those limits that you put on yourself. Slow down. Talk to a real person. Verify the money. Put it in writing. Trust yourself and trust your discernment. Your gut does not lie. And I say this, and I've said this in the past, that the government has lied to us. Your brain is not in your head. Your brain is in your gut. Your gut will tell you every time. And especially when you're eating live foods and you're drinking water and you're not doing alcohol or drugs, you are highly tapped in and connected with Gus, God, universe, and spirit, to be able to understand and comprehend where things are offline. You're like, that don't feel good, right? That don't pass the smell test. And you can stop and you can breathe and then you can understand, okay, is this true all the way through the transaction? So I hope this has been helpful for you guys today. I hope that I've added a level of value on how to deter fraud. It's proactively discouraging or stopping deceptive practices before they occur. As a notary public, they teach us this. My main goal as a notary public is to deter fraud. That's my main goal. So I have to check licenses. I have to see if they're authentic. I have to hold them. People say, here's my license in my wallet. Nope. Your license is not going to be in your wallet. Pull your license out. I'm going to hold it in my hand. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to make sure I can feel your signature on your license. I'm going to hold it up to the light. I'm going to see if the barcode works. I'm going to do all that. My main goal is to deter fraud. And I was still frauded. So I hope you guys learned from this radio show today and learn from this lesson that there's some key takeaways. Learn from me. Do your homework, slow down, pause, take a mental checklist. If it doesn't pass the smell test, don't move forward. Protect yourself legally. And if you want to sue them, call me. I'll help, right? I'll help do all the paperwork at your direction. It's so great. So, thanks, guys. I hope this helps. So this is me, Tisha Marie Cain, signing out. Beyond Mindset Limits. You can reach me on all platforms. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you for joining Tisha Marie Cain for Beyond Mindset Limits. Tune in every Wednesday at 4 p.m. as the conversation continues around mindset, legal insight, and publishing as a strategic tool for business positioning. Visit TishaMarieCain.com or CainsLegalSupport.com for more information or to schedule your private appointment.